Hello, everyone. My name is Richard Merlick. I'm CEO of Intertie. Our mission at Intertie is to design and deploy reliable clean energy solutions where they provide the most value. The next slide, please. To achieve climate change and reliability goals, we need clean energy assets where they provide the most value, and that's at the grid edge. But there are technical, physical, and financial challenges that make it prohibitive. Really hard to connect both the building panels and the utility service capacity, make solar storage and EV charging complicated and difficult to connect. There's space constraints on every commercial location. And finally, it's very costly. While battery costs have declined significantly over the last few years, the bulk of energy storage costs are in the non-battery cost component. Next slide, please. So just prior to founding Intertie, we built the largest integrated solar carport and charging facility in California, I think at the country at the time. And that gave us an experience and insight into how charging was going to impact the grid. We developed a battery boosted fast charger, which we refer to as an it's an EV charge pod. And not only does it provide, it had an integrated underground battery system with a charger on top that manages site energy use and provides grid services. After we completed that prototype, California enacted temporary relief to demand charges, which was our main value proposition. And so we pivoted, and what we recognized is that what we had developed was really a productized microgrid with hardened storage, DC coupled charging and solar, and then an energy management system from which we could deploy and provide many services. Next slide, please. As a company, we're most interested in providing value-added services through our technology. And we've developed software along with the hardware of the productized intelligent microgrid, and we can transform really any building into an efficient, profitable, clean energy asset, lowering costs through peak shaving, load shifting, solar maximization, improving the reliability with backup power, and adding new revenues, demand response, sub-metering, and other services. Next slide, please. The market has a funny way of telling you what has value. And since we are in the marketplace, and I define our core technology as what has the most commercial value, and it's clearly the hardened, safe storage system that we've developed. We've got a patented underground storage system that provides the safest, lowest cost, and most versatile storage. You can see an illustration here, doesn't take up any space. It's in a parking spot. And there's a lot of technology that's embedded in that, both on the structural side of the vault, the battery, and then the systems that go along with it. The other main advantage is nature. It's located in an optimal temperature environment, so it obviates the need for HVAC. As you can see, it's very easy to install. Our first model was 8,000 pounds. Through technology, we're able to lower that down to 1,000 pounds. It's secure. We have a climate control system. And at the end of the day, if you see on the far right, you don't even know the storage is there. The other core technology is really a DC topology that enables us to couple a charger directly to a battery and couple solar directly to a battery. And that provides many advantages in the microgrid space. And then finally, we build a productized, integrated microgrid. And by providing a turnkey storage, charging, and solar solution, either individually or combined, we increasingly are finding our customers want a one-stop shop, and we provide them a configurable, versatile energy service platform to make money. Next slide, please. Our real competitive advantage is through the technology, we can install storage almost anywhere, and it's intrinsically safe. And I alluded to earlier, by locating it underground, we maximize the operational efficiency. But the real key is when we consider energy storage, you have to look at the total cost of energy storage. As you can see, the battery is about 20% of the cost of a storage solution. By productizing the microgrid and being able to locate that battery anywhere, we can cut that non-battery cost by half. And although our battery is a little bit higher because it's enclosed in the underground vault, we cut the non-battery cost by half, and we have a competitive cost advantage vis-a-vis our competitors in the small and medium building commercial space. Next slide, please.
Hey, Richard,
Yes.
30-second warning.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Let's go to the next slide. This is a huge market that we're talking about. The addressable market's about $700 billion. That's just in the US alone. Our focus in California, it's a $200 billion market. And where we feel we have a competitive advantage, it's about a $30 billion market. Next slide, please. There's where you have a big market, you have lots of competitors. We see that our advantage in the small to medium building space gives us a competitive advantage, and we believe we have a first mover here. And so our focus is to execute this year on that and get enough scale out there. Next slide, please. Again, we started with an idea from a project. Our concept was completed out in 2017. We've built prototypes for all of the microgrid components. We won the Shell Game Changer, recognized our fast charger competition. You'll see the final version of our prototype in 2019. We've deployed it. We have a microgrid installation, and we just raised a Series A. We have 7 microgrids in various forms of development stage and projects now. Next slide. Our team is, I, as a founder and CEO, I have the pretty extensive domain knowledge in the utility space. We combine software, commercial, and then net zero energy expertise as our leadership team. Next slide, please. And then finally, we're not looking for immediate equity capital, as we recently closed our Series A. We're using our Series A to commercialize a robust demand for our underground storage, but we're happy to have discussions with potential Series B and follow up with them. But one of our asks is we're looking for tax equity and debt partners, because project financing allows us to add a lot of leverage to our investor capital. One of the purposes today, we'd like to meet with industry and military stakeholders, as our technology has a broad application. We could expand that technology to be resilient in flood and fire zones. And we want to better understand what the pain points are of customers, particularly in the defense space, and sign MOUs. Our wish is being in the field and engagement with customers and installing. We have a comprehensive product roadmap to develop. We are seeking non-dilutive funding to advance some of these products, because we think innovation and continuing in that vein will continue to give us a competitive advantage. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Opening up the floor for questions. Go ahead, Kyle.
So Richard, you said that you've done 7 microgrid deployments to date. Were you doing that in partners with other kind of microgrid technologies, or how did those work, and how do you envision this going forward? Because batteries obviously are only, in your system, it sounds like it's only kind of one piece of the overall puzzle in order to actually deploy a full microgrid.
No, we build a DC coupled solar integration device. We have our own energy management system. We have our complete underground battery storage system. We have a DC coupled fast charger. So we provide all of the hardware components, some of which will have partnerships. So for instance, on the fast charging, Tritium is a partner of ours. We'll modify their technology so that it can become more grid friendly. And those are the partnerships that we have. But we do 100% of the work on our microgrid deployment, from site assessment to engineering and permitting to finally commissioning the microgrid as well.
Got it. Thank you. We should follow up offline on some things. I got some ideas.
Go ahead, Yoav.
Yes, are you selling this microgrid station? You're leasing them? What's the business model for the end customer?
So our business model is all of the above. So about 50% of our project, the end customer, like a Fortune 500 company, will buy the product, right? in, where we are in the Bay Area, because space is a premium, very strong demand for our patented underground system. We can locate it anywhere on the property. So many of the real estate developers, particularly if they're doing a tenant improvement and have capital, they'll buy it. And then there's another fraction that will, and then we'll always have an O&M contract with them. Our interest is residual income. And then for those that don't have the capital, we'll arrange project financing via a combination of tax equity and debt. But we always want the long-term O&M. It gives us the data to improve our software and add more value going forward.
Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, it sounds like you have a very competent solution in a fast-growing segment, which is great. But I'm not convinced that you have a great deal of defensibility here. I don't think you can patent the idea of putting a battery underground. Could you tell me where I'm wrong here?
Well, we have a patent. So I think the question is, will that patent hold up if someone copies it and we have to, we have no idea. And so, but the undergrounding of the battery is a lot more complicated technology than it seems really obvious. And those easy, obvious things are the most difficult to install. So our underground battery system, excuse me, we have to put a climate control system in there. We had to change the material so we could make it very lightweight so that any contractor with a backhoe can install it. We also have to design the top so that it's H10 to H20 traffic rating. And so there's a lot of engineering that goes in to just building the structure. But it takes about 4 hours to cut pavement and install that vault. It goes in very quickly because of the size. So that's one side of our technology. The other side of our technology is the hardware to DC couple and provide an integrated solution. There's a lot of competition out there in building those power electronics, but we're in the field all the time and we understand what we need to build and designing the right product. And then finally, ultimately, it's your software. The software in 5 years will be the key differentiator. And that's where we're focused on. And by just getting the data and making the systems operate optimally, hopefully we'll have enough of an advantage that if someone copies us, we have enough sites and we'll deal with that when that comes. But it is an enormous advantage based on customer feedback. We're just not big enough to meet the demand for the underground storage right now.
Thank you.
John, you want to wrap it up?
Sure. I have a practical question. How do you envision getting this system into the hands of DoD? Do you intend to take contracts directly? It seems like your business really is, a product integrator, which that's often what defense customers like to see. Or do you envision partnering with companies who are more traditionally A&D?
Well, so we have channel partners, and again, we're designing our system. When we say productized, it means we give a blueprint and a game plan so we can scale that very quickly using a DoD contractor or any other contractor to install following our blueprint. I personally don't have any experience with the DoD, but my gut tells me that our next phase is to make our underground storage. It's resilient to water. We want to make it resilient to about 10 feet of flooding and then fire as well. So I think there's application. The fact that you can drive over it and locate it anywhere. We'd like to engage with the DoD to understand their problem so we can modify what we have for a solution.
Understood. Thank you.
You're welcome.